Good morning. It truly is a pleasure to stand before you here today in the great state of Minnesota, in the great city of Minneapolis, and really to be able to reflect upon the progress that we've been able to make this past year as we really focus on fortifying and building the strength of Big Ten men's and women's basketball. Last year was a big step when for the first time in conference history, we actually hosted all 28 teams in our Big Ten Conference, both men and women, at our basketball media days to just show how important gender equity, gender equality was for us. And I'm blessed to stand before you here today and to be able to have that same event occur here in Minneapolis. I want to take a moment to thank all of our student athletes, first and foremost, for their dedication, their sacrifice, their commitment to excellence, their desire to be great in the classroom, on the court, and in the community. And as we all know, that although our student athletes are our focal point, there's so many people who put a lot of time and energy and effort on a daily basis to make sure they have a great opportunity to be great. And that's their parents, their families, our coaches, our athletic directors, our senior women administrators, our faculty athletic representatives, our chancellors and presidents, all the medical personnel, all the academic personnel on campus that work hard to help build an incredible tradition of Big Ten Conference basketball for both our women and our men's student athletes. I want to take a moment to thank our Big Ten staff. They've worked tirelessly to make this event happen today. I was actually walking in the hotel this morning a little after 6:30, and I saw one of our staff members, backpack on, arms full, carrying documents, carrying food over here to the Target Center to make sure that today goes smoothly. It's that commitment that makes our staff incredibly special. Another special thank you goes to our media partners who will air Big Ten basketball this year in Fox, in FS1, in CBS, in ESPN, and Big Ten Network. And when thinking about Big Ten Network, I want to thank them who are here today, who are bringing this press conference today and tomorrow to all of our fans literally around the world, under their esteemed leadership of their president, Francois McGillicuddy, who's not only a friend but a partner and a great leader for our Big Ten Network. So thank you for the Big Ten Network staff, all that they do to bring just all of this content, not only on Big Ten Network but on BTN Plus, to our many fans who love Big Ten basketball. A special thank you goes to the Minnesota Sports Commission, who've been a great partner. We're looking forward to bringing our women's basketball tournament here this season, and then next season our men's and women's basketball tournament. And then also I want to thank Mayor Jacob Fry, who's been a partner and an ally of the Big Ten Conference, and I know he'll be here sometime over the next 2 days. One partner who is really near and dear to the Big Ten Conference, and I want to thank Tyler Cooper for solidifying this relationship, and that's TIAA for being named the official partner of Big Ten Conference Basketball Media Days, which is a first ever, and also an incredible partner for our Big Ten women's, men's, and basketball tournaments. From an administrative standpoint, and I saw him earlier, but he may be somewhere working. I think I see him over here. I want to announce that we have hired Brad Taylor as our new Vice President of Men's Basketball at the Big Ten Conference. Brad is here today. Brad, welcome to the Big Ten family. We welcome you and your family here. Brad has had an esteemed career at the NCAA, but also for many of our NCAA member institutions. But Brad literally joins us today, and we look so forward to having him here to lead our Big Ten men's basketball efforts. He has incredible integrity. He works hard. He loves our student athletes. He loves our coaches. And most of all, he'll be a dedicated member to the Big Ten Conference. So, Brad, thank you for the commitment to excellence. and we look forward to working with you. Next to Brad, who we introduced last year, is Megan Kahn, who has been an incredible addition to the Big Ten Conference. Megan is our Vice President of Women's Basketball, and she did things last year to help fortify our conference, which I'm so grateful for that. And to have Brad and Megan and to see them standing there together is really special. It puts us in a position as far as where we want to go to make sure we remain the strongest basketball conference in the world. As a thank you to my wife, Greta, who's been a partner, an ally, a great businesswoman, the leader of our family. She'll be here tomorrow. She's done a fantastic job of raising our two children, Perry and Powers. I just want to tell Greta how much I love and appreciate her. She lost her father, my father-in-law, last week, who was special not only to me, but to Greta. And so I just want to let her know that I'm thinking about her today, and I look forward to having her join us here tomorrow. I personally know, as a former collegiate basketball student athlete, what a coach can mean to you, how it can change your life. And I think back to all of the coaches in my life, from elementary school to high school to college, who took the time, energy, and effort to help to mold me into the person that I am today. And I know what our coaches do on a daily basis for our student athletes. They lead with integrity and honor and discipline and commitment to excellence and grit. And so I want to tell our coaches, I tell them all the time, but I want to tell them publicly how much I respect them, how much I admire them, how much I appreciate what they do on a daily basis, and how grateful I am for all of our 28 head basketball coaches on men and women in the Big Ten Conference, and all of the assistant coaches, and our student athletes. They're phenomenal students. They're phenomenal athletes. They're stewards in the community. They're leaders. And it's an honor and pleasure to be able to serve our basketball coaches and our basketball student athletes. As you can tell, the Big Ten Conference is focused on being innovative, creative, strong, bold, powerful. We will never be complacent. We will never follow the status quo. But we also will embrace our 127-year-plus history that has gotten us to the point where we are today. But today, I want to make sure that we discuss how we're going to continue to build our conference from a men's and women's basketball standpoint. We will do what it takes when the time is right to provide opportunities and equity well beyond the playing court for our student athletes and our fans. Because we want to make sure that all of the decisions we make are tethered to education, that we remember that our student athletes are on our campuses to earn a qualified degree, to work hard in the classrooms, to be great athletes. And if they're so blessed to go play in the Olympics or to play in the National Basketball Association or the WNBA, God bless them. But what will last them for the remainder of their days on earth is an education, a degree from one of our incredible institutions, and we need to make sure that we keep that first and foremost. So because of that, our priority has to make sure that we ensure growth, sustainability, and strength for our student athletes and our member institutions. We are currently working on building our Student Athlete Advisory Commission. We'll be starting to finalize that here in the next few weeks and have meetings before the end of the year, so we can continually hear and learn from our student athletes what's important to them, what we can do better as a conference, how we could come together and make their experience even more special than it already is. You know, gender equality and gender equity is a focus at the Big Ten Conference. What we're doing to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX, what we did with our recent Women's Leadership Symposium at our conference office, what we've done with Big Ten volleyball media days, what we're doing here today to say both our women and men's basketball coaches and student athletes have earned the right to be on the same stage at the same time, not in separate locations, that we respect them at the same level. And we want to build opportunities for them in the classroom, in the community. And you saw it this summer. Many of you are here today, got a chance to experience what it means to build immersive experiences in the community with our Big Life series that occurred in Selma and Montgomery, Alabama. And when I looked as we walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and saw many of our student athletes here today, to be able to feel what happened on Bloody Sunday, to be able to feel what it means to be an American, to be able to feel how the civil rights movement was important, my heart was warmed. We will continue to have those Big Life series events like we had last summer in Selma, Alabama, and I'm grateful of our commitment to excellence with our coaches, our student athletes, and our administrators. As you're aware, we are building the Big Ten Conference into the strongest brand in all of college athletics. We now are coast to coast, from New Jersey and in 2024 all the way to Los Angeles. We are very, very pleased and grateful. We're blessed every day for our 14-member institutions who comprise the Big Ten Conference. But we also are extremely excited about our two new family members who are scheduled to join our conference in the fall of 2024, the University of California, Los Angeles, and the University of Southern California, two outstanding academic and athletic institutions with rich history, tradition, and legacy. The leaders at UCLA, Chancellor Gene Block and their athletic director, Martin Jarman, and at USC, President Carol Folt and their athletic director, Mike Bone, are great partners. One of our key focus points this year is to make sure that we flawlessly integrate both UCLA and USC into the Big Ten Conference. Our student athletes have been our #1 priority, and during this integration period, they will continue to be our #1 priority. And you'll be able to see it in how we schedule, how we handle multi-team events, the experiences that they will be able to have about now being able to travel to play different institutions across the country. We'll ask ourselves, what can we do on a daily basis to strengthen this academic opportunity, to strengthen these athletic opportunities? How will this relationship and expansion create new opportunities for our student athletes to broaden their platform both on and off the court? We think of the many future student athletes, the thousands of student athletes in the future who will call themselves Big Ten student athletes. So with that, we will methodically, strategically position the Big Ten Conference not only for success now, but for success 100, 200, 300, 400 years from now as we build a much stronger conference. We are also building a unique conference with the opportunities with our upcoming media rights agreements, which take place starting next fall, the fall of '23. Our world-class media partners will be able to provide a platform for our student athletes to display their skills, for our fans to be able to consume content around the world in any form or fashion they so desire via the Big Ten Network, BTN+, Fox, FS1, CBS, NBC, and NBC Peacock. We have strong linear network partners, and we also have a strong direct-to-consumer partner. We want to make sure that we provide the flexibility to our fans to be able to consume content in the manner in which they desire. Our new media rights agreements are the most complex and comprehensive set of media rights agreements in all of college athletics. And it'll further strengthen the tradition of the Big Ten Conference. And as you heard me say before, the goal is to make sure we provide content to our fans from age 5 to 105 in any manner or form that they such desire to consume that content. As you all know, that any time you can enter into these level of complex arrangements, it takes so many talented people. We had leadership at our chancellors and presidents level. We had leadership in our athletic director level. We had leadership with our FARs and our SWAs. And then there were individuals in our conference office who literally worked around the clock, who sacrificed family time, vacations, probably their health to an extent, to be able to get these deals done, to make sure that we bring the best possible, most progressive media agreements ever done before. I see a few of them here today. I see Laura Anderson, who's our Chief Financial Officer, and Carrie Kinney, who was an incredible partner in building these media agreements, and Anil Galahali, and Diana Sabo, Adam Newman, who's not here today, he'll be here tomorrow. He's observing a Jewish holiday today. Carrie Cecil, there's so many people here that sacrifice to make sure that when we announce those media agreements, that our fans would be appreciative, but most of all, that our student athletes and our coaches would have an opportunity to be able to perform on platforms that had never been done before. Today, we're here to focus on Big Ten's women's and men's basketball, and I'm so proud of our student athletes and our coaches. Last year was incredible. We had 6 of our women's teams who were blessed to get a berth to the NCAA tournament. 4 teams advanced to the Sweet 16. We had 4 women's student athletes drafted in the WNBA. On the men's side, we had 9 teams make the tournament, which tied a conference record. We had 9 of our student athletes drafted, 4 in the first round, 3 lottery picks. So not only do we have phenomenal student athletes, we have phenomenal coaches. And last year, many of our coaches were able to reach milestones. Lisa Bluder, who's our women's basketball coach at Iowa, recorded her 800th win. Joe McKeown, our women's basketball coach at Northwestern, recorded his 750th win. Susie Merchant, who's our women's basketball coach at Michigan State, recorded her 500th win. Teri Moren, our women's basketball coach at Indiana, recorded her 350th win. Matt Painter, who's our head basketball coach at Purdue, recorded his 400th win. And then Tom Izzo, our iconic leader at Michigan State University, became the winningest coach in Big Ten basketball history. So congratulations to all of our former student athletes who were drafted into the professional ranks and our coaches who reached certain milestones. We have so many of our first-team All-Big Ten men's and women's basketball players back this year. It's going to be an exciting year. So as I close here, again, with our student athletes, coaches, our athletic directors, our chancellors and presidents, our senior women administrators, our faculty athletic representatives, our professors, all the doctors, all the support staff, the academic support staff, the family members, the parents, the siblings, the coaches, and our fans, I just want to thank you and to let you know you have my word that we're going to do everything possible at the Big Ten Conference to build this conference, to make us the strongest basketball conference ever, to place teams in Final Fours, to win national championships, and at the conference level, we will do everything we possibly can to make sure that that happens in an honorable, an ethical, a professional manner. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for your commitment to telling the stories of Big Ten basketball. I'm so excited about this season, and I look forward to seeing many of you during our journey throughout the season as we make a push toward the Final Four and the crowning of a national championship on both the women's and the men's side. So with that, I'll open it up for some questions. And again, thank you for your time, commitment to excellence, and your energy in being here today.
You're right, Kevin.
Kevin, Jeremy Warner, 24/7 Sports.
Hi, Jeremy.
What is the Big Ten's approach to expansion moving forward? Do you want to add programs? And if you do, what are you looking for?
The biggest thing right now, and we have come up with what we're calling some of our can't-miss priorities. And one of the can't-miss priority is to make sure that we flawlessly integrate our new media partners. But the other big one is to make sure that we flawlessly integrate USC and UCLA into the Big Ten Conference. So in the climate that we're in right now in college athletics, you also always have to be mindful of expansion. But our priority is just to make sure that, one, we take care of our 14 member institutions now from a basketball standpoint, from a conference standpoint, and that we do everything that we possibly can to make sure that we flawlessly integrate USC and UCLA into the Big Ten Conference. We have a lot of work to do. It's one thing to negotiate contracts, to make an announcement, but it's another thing to actually get the work done, and that's what we're focused on right now.
Charles Harmon, Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. Good morning, Commissioner.
Always good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Can you speak on the Pac-12 just recently announced a legacy series with the SWAC doing men's and women's basketball beyond the guaranteed games format this season. Would the Big Ten think about doing something similar and connecting with a black college conference? And then if you want to speak any longer about what happened this summer at going across the bridge, your experience that you went through that.
Yeah, Charles, again, always good to see you. Thank you for your legacy here in the Twin Cities. We've had some discussions about seeing what we can do to create some of these legacy series games. And I know we've had some one-off games that have been played. But from a long-term standpoint, and that's the beautiful thing about having USC and UCLA join us, there's some things that we are working on now to continually afford our student athletes the opportunity to play against historically black colleges and universities. And I look forward to, as we bring that to life, as far as what we could do from a scheduling standpoint. So that's part of the many of things that are on the table as we're looking through scheduling and expansion of what we can do from a unique standpoint. It fits hand in hand, as your second part of your question alluded to, with our dedication, commitment to equality, and this summer was emotional. It was magical. I think about the Selma trip every single day, and I thought about it, when we rode the bus from Montgomery to Selma. It was a 54-mile bus ride, and one of the things that I challenged myself and the individuals on the trip was that, what would you walk 54 miles for? These individuals, our civil rights leaders, walked. They made that 5-day, 54-mile walk. And what was interesting about it, they just walked for the opportunity to vote. And when you think of the commitment, and they weren't on a bus, they were walking. And so when we were able to make that walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge and to see all the footage of what happened on Bloody Sunday, and to think of the many sacrifices that individuals make, it makes days like today incredibly, special for us to be able to tell those stories. And so, Charles, one thing that we'll continually do is to be able to tell those stories about civil rights in our country, but tell it through the mode and the medium of basketball, and especially basketball in the Big Ten Conference. So I look forward to working with Kerry, Kinney, and others, our athletic directors in our conference, to be able to tell those stories and create these unique opportunities for our student athletes that they'll be talking about for the remainder of their life. Thank you for those questions.
Hi, Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
Yeah, good to see you.
With the women's tournament coming here next spring on the heels of a very successful Final Four here last spring, can you just talk about your view of this market as a market that supports women's basketball in particular?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I mean, I'm excited to be able to bring our media days here for the first time and our tournaments here. Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, this entire region is basketball hungry. I was fortunate to live here for 16 years, with my time at the Vikings. and all the way from high school basketball to college basketball. And I think of the many games that I was able to enjoy watching here and the history and tradition. So I think people are going to be really excited and probably somewhat surprised about how basketball is supported here in the Twin Cities. And I was fortunate to come to the Final Four here last year. You saw the crowds. They were passionate. They love basketball here. And so one of the things that's been exciting is for us to be able to move our media days around. We were in Indianapolis last year, and our tournaments around. We'll have the men's tournament in Chicago this year due to the COVID swap we had to make, and then to be able to come back here next year with women's and men's basketball. I'm really excited for our Big Ten fans to be able to enjoy basketball here in the Twin Cities. This is a great basketball environment, and I think people will be really pleasantly surprised as far as the way they embrace basketball here, but also the hospitality of putting on, great big events. So I'm looking forward to it. And when you look down the road of adding USC and UCLA to our basketball standpoint, it's really exciting of the kind of talent that we'll have here going forward. So I'm excited about being able to come back to the Twin Cities and to be able to watch some great basketball right here in this venue.
Last question on your right.
Hi, Kevin. John Shipley with the Pioneer
Hey,
Press.
John, good
Hi,
to
how
see
are
you. Yeah.
I'm wondering how, when UCLA and USC join, how, if at all, the basketball tournaments, the season-ending tournaments, would look any different. I don't imagine why they would. And then where are you with football alignment? I'm guessing you don't know what you're doing, but what kind of stuff is on the table there?
Yeah, regarding the basketball tournament, it's quite natural we have to look at how that works. I know we have individuals in our organization now who are working on what those potential tournaments will look like. I know one thing, they'll be exciting, and now we have the flexibility to have them really anywhere across the country. And so having two great basketball programs and the history and tradition, and you think about some of the great basketball players, both men and women, who've played at UCLA, and probably the greatest coaches of all time, and Coach Wooden, but Cheryl Miller and so many other athletes who've played there. It's going to be good to have that history and tradition. So we'll look at ways to build that with our new family members in USC and UCLA from a location standpoint. And then regards, I think your question is about divisions, if we'll continually have them in football. We're having meetings on that right now. And the good thing about it, we're in this what we're calling an integration phase, and we have members of our organization. Kerry Kinney is leading one group, Diana Sabo, Chad Hawley, and Neil Galahali are working on integration. So we're being very thoughtful, and as I mentioned earlier, we're going to keep the health safety of our student athletes at the forefront of all our decisions, but also provide our student athletes with the excitement to be able to play some great teams. I can't tell you the number of coaches who are excited from a recruiting standpoint, and student athletes who have thanked me personally to be able to play these games and these tournaments within our conference with great institutions. And as I said, Cheryl Miller and Lisa Leslie and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and John Wooden and Jackie Robinson. When you think of Jackie Joyner-Kersey, all these great athletes who have come out of USC and UCLA from an athletic standpoint, and then what they've done academically. And what we're going to make sure that we do on our road trips is to tie in the academic component with our faculty athletic representatives to provide our student athletes with an opportunity to learn like they've never learned before. And with our academic alliance that we have, it's going to be critically important for us to be able to do it. So we're excited about these different road trips, and we're excited about working with our provosts and everyone on campus to afford our student athletes an opportunity to learn. I mean, we've even had some discussion on these trips, like with Selma, Alabama, that we did. How can that become a course? Because regardless of what course a student athlete has taken in civil rights, that trip right there, I can tell you right now, was life-changing. So we have some great plans in order to make sure that we build this relationship athletically and academic with our student athletes.
Thank you, Commissioner Warren.
Joining the Big Ten. So much success both in the regular and the postseason. Picked to finish fourth in the Big Ten by the coaches and media. Let's head back to the stage. Commissioner Kevin Warren.
All Our first coach to the stage will be the head women's basketball coach at the University of Maryland, Brenda Frese. Brenda, as you know, is incredibly successful. She's worked closely with many cancer awareness groups locally and nationwide. She was able to reach her second Sweet 16 in back-to-back years, and just looking forward to watching her team play. If you've ever seen a Maryland basketball game and seen Coach Frese coach, she coaches with every ounce of fiber in her body, and I know she lost her father, Bill, last year, who's so important to her. I have great respect for Coach Frese and looking forward to a great season at the University of Maryland. So welcome to the stage our first basketball coach, head coach Brenda Frese from the University of Maryland.
Well, thank you so much. It is great to be back and here in Minnesota at the Target Center. I know all of us are really looking forward to the Big Ten tournament that will be coming up here in March. First and foremost, I do want to welcome our new men's basketball coach here at Maryland, Kevin Willard, to his first Big Ten Media Day. We're really excited, and he's going to do great things here at Maryland. For us at Maryland, for our team, it is going to be a unique team and season for us this year. You will continue to see a lot of our team traits are going to be very similar that we've had in the past, but we're also going to try a lot of different concepts. For us and our staff, it's been really stimulating to put these pieces to the puzzle together and really how we're going to maximize our roster this upcoming season. People always talk about, playing positionless basketball in this new era, and you're really going to see it from us this upcoming season. We have a really good group of players that are you're going to see a lot of versatility where they're going to be able to cover and play a lot of different positions on both ends of the floor. And our staff plans on using our system that way. We're also going to find out really quickly what we need to work on. Our non-conference schedule, again, is probably one of the toughest we've ever played here in my time at Maryland. Second game of the season is against defending national champion South Carolina. We have UConn coming in as well. We're at Baylor, at Notre Dame, and we also played DePaul, just to name a few of our non-conference teams we're going to face this season. It allows us a great opportunity to play both challenging and really fun games to find out where we stand before heading into the most competitive conference in the country. However, that's why you come to Maryland, is to play on these big stages, and it's something that we're all looking forward to. I open it up to any questions.
Hi, Coach. Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune.
Hi.
You had a taste of what this market can do in terms of supporting women's basketball back in 2002. You've been back here a number of times. I'm sure you were here at the Final Four last year. Can you just talk about this market in terms of support for women's basketball? Yeah,
my 1 year stay and being able to see it, obviously being here at the Final Four this past year, it's the best of the best. They support the women's team. They love their sports and athletics as a whole, and I think that's why it's such a great fit for us to be able to come in here and have the Big Ten tournament here. I expect great crowds, and you've got so much energy from so many sports fans in this area that are going to come out and watch and support. So I know we're really looking forward to it.
To your right, Coach.
Hey, Coach, Myron Metcalf, ESPN, over here.
Thank
Myron
you.
Metcalf, ESPN. What do you think will have the greater long-term impact in college basketball? Name, image, and likeness, or the transfer portal?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, you'd probably put it as subset A and B. I think for the players, obviously, name, image, and likeness, is a beautiful thing that, I think will obviously sustain now that it's there. I think for the coaches, the transfer portal probably has had the biggest impact, as you can see on every roster, up and down, in the country. So I think it's equally as important when you talk about the student athletes for the name, image, and likeness, and then the coaches with the transfer portal.
Any final questions for Coach Frese? On your right, Coach.
Hi.
Chris Werner from the Daily Iowan. Just talk about Caitlin Clark and what she's kind of done for the women's game, kind of a different style player than we've ever seen.
Yeah, so electric. I mean, it obviously can score the basketball as soon as she steps on the court from anywhere, that kind of range. But, it's not by accident. You see a player like Caitlin Clark, where we've been, when you watch those All-Americans and you watch those players come through, it's so rare. So you've got to appreciate, in the time that they get in their college career. She's made such a difference, obviously, at Iowa, in the country. She's a game changer and just a special player to watch. Not fun to have to scout and coach against, but, truly one of those that you have to appreciate in her time, as a once-in-a-lifetime type of player to come through.
All right, Coach Brenda Frese, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Brenda Frese, a national championship, to her credit, 3 Final Fours, 4-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Certainly a resume that first-year head man Kevin Willard would love to mimic as he takes over the Maryland programs. As Coach Frese alluded to, so many important transfers after losing the top 2 scorers from last season. Back to the stage we go. Once again, Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next coach to the stage is our new head men's basketball coach at the University of Maryland, Coach Kevin Willard. He's joined our Big Ten family after a 12-year incredibly successful run at Seton Hall University, and he's going to bring a lot of energy to our conference, and he's very active with working with students, and especially primarily children who have severe illnesses, and has done a lot with the Special Olympics group in Maryland. So welcome to the stage our newest member of our Big Ten family, head basketball coach Kevin Willard from the University of Maryland.
Well, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of this conference, to represent the University of Maryland. It's such a great basketball conference. Looking forward to the year. And that's really all I got to say, if anyone has any questions.
We'll open up the floor for questions for Coach Willard. On your right, Coach.
Myron McCaffery, ESPN. A lot of coaches make the transition to a new job. But what has it been like with the transfer portal, name, image, and likeness, making that transition to this new opportunity?
Yeah, the transfer portal makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to wait on guys for a year. You can kind of transition a little bit quicker with the transfer portal, as long as you do it in a way that the way we did it was make sure that the guys that we had returning that stayed, that we complimented them. We didn't come and bring someone in their position. It was very important to me that the balance to get off to a really good start with the former players. But it does make it easier when you have the transfer portal, because you really have a way of starting your culture, starting your season with guys that you can come in and kind of bridge your roster much quicker than you have in the past. And NIL is, I think it's phenomenal for the student athletes. It's an ever-changing game for coaches.
Coach Kevin Sweeney, Sports Illustrated. Obviously, Maryland's so known as a basketball state. And you guys got 2 kids in the portal from the state of Maryland. I know you can't talk about the 23-3s, but you've got a couple there as well. Can you speak to the importance of kind of building a wall around that state and what you've done so far to be able to have that success?
Yeah, we're not trying to build a wall. I mean, you're never going to keep all your local kids home. It's one of those things. Fan bases love saying that. We're going to keep all our local kids home. But if you keep everyone home, then you're not going to be able to play everybody. Then everyone's going to get all mad at you anyways. I think for us, the biggest thing was, recognizing who we wanted to represent our program. And we got two great kids early. Jameer Young, a DeMatha kid, first time in 20 years. A tremendous young man. Noah Batchelor, right up the road from University of Maryland, and two great kids that we're going to not only get the fan base excited, but at the same time let all the young high school kids understand that, hey, it's cool to come to the University of Maryland. And that's kind of what we focused on the 23 class too, was recognizing kids that fit our culture, fit what we wanted to build around. But you can't keep all kids home. I mean, it's they're all going to transfer eventually anyways with the transfer portal. So, we're trying to build the right type of kids. It's a great area. High school basketball, AAU basketball, and the DMV is by far second to none. So, it's kind of cool being there because you get first dibs on a lot of kids that obviously we couldn't get before.
Third row on your left.
Kevin, John Fanta, Fox Sports. When you took the job, you talked about the pedigree of the program, the identity of Maryland basketball, and the tradition of the Terrapins. Now that you're in it every day, what's something that you've learned even more about Maryland that maybe you didn't know when you first took this job?
It's great to see you, Johnny boy. I missed you. You got to know how to eat crab cakes, and you got to know how to, like I'm learning how to crack crabs and eat crabs. It's a new thing for me. Very hard, John. You got to split the middle, and then you take the legs off, and then you go through the whole process. There is an enormous sense of pride within the state of Maryland, within the fan base, within just the residents, Baltimore County, the city of Baltimore. It really is. I knew the tradition, and Coach Williams has been great, helped me get around all the places, but the sense of pride that they have for their program is really cool, and it's been something I think that's helped us recruiting. It's helped us with this team this year, so it's been great. It's great to see you, though. None of these people understand. It's okay.
Coach Kevin Willard, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
everybody.
your time.
So much success over the past few seasons for the Hoosiers. Grace Berger, Mackenzie Holmes, preseason all Big Ten selection, so you know a lot is expected of Indiana in 2022-23 after advancing to last year's Big Ten tournament title game for the first time in 20 years. For much more on the Hoosiers, we head back to the stage and say hello once again. Here is Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next coach to the stage is Teri Moren, who's the head women's basketball coach at Indiana University, and she does so much on the court and in the community, implementing an event called Candy Stripe Crew, which is a clinic hosted by the Hoosiers women's basketball program for children and adults who are struggling with disabilities. She's gone to back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances. I know she's excited about this season. I have a special relationship with IU basketball. That was the first basketball game I attended as commissioner. And when you think about family, there's so many people. Again, I just want to thank Mae Davis, who's been my executive assistant for 32 years, who's back in the office working today, and then Emily Rooney, who's here today, who keeps my life straight. And so when I think of family, I think of Indiana, I think of Emily, I think of Mae, but most of all, I think of Coach Teri Moren. So welcome to the stage, head basketball coach, Coach Teri Moren.
Well, good morning. It's great to be here. It's time again for another exciting basketball season in Big Ten women's basketball, and we are grateful that we're a part of it. We have an interesting team coming back with 7 veterans and then the 7 new faces we have. So to say that we're excited, we're very excited about the season starting. And we just look forward to another competitive Big Ten conference and an exciting finish as it's been the last couple years. So thank you to the media, thank you to Kevin and his staff at the Big Ten who always put on a first-class event. I'm grateful to be here to represent Indiana in our women's basketball program. And I look forward to the rest of the day spending time with you guys in the media.
Questions for Coach Moren? Third row on your right, Coach.
Third row on the right. That would be over there. Okay.
Hi, Teri.
Good morning.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the transfer portal and the ability to add a player like Sarah, who might have been the best player at Minnesota, immediately to an already good team, and how that maybe changes how you recruit.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the question. You know, I think the transfer portal is an interesting thing that's happening right now in athletics. I think there is some really good pieces to it. There's some frustrating pieces to it. We have benefited from the portal. I would be lying if I told you we haven't. I think it's going to stay, so we all have to adapt, just like a lot of things that are happening right now in athletics. We're excited about Sarah joining our basketball team. We obviously had to play against her. We had to, you know, do scouting reports, you know, for a young lady like Sarah. So we're excited that she's joining us. But like I said, we've benefited. Now, here's what I will say. I don't think we're a program that wants to be a team full of kids that are all transfers. You know, we still want the traditional 4-year high school kid. I do think there's something special about being able to blend the two together. Certainly, the portal does give you some instant experience. Yeah, we'll keep looking, but to say that we're a team or a program that wants to be made up of all transfers, that's not the case for us. We really like the combination of the two.
On your right, second row.
Hi, Teri. Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. Obviously, a hotly contested race last year for the top in the Big Ten. How do you see the strengths of the league at the top this year?
Well, again, as I mentioned in my opening statement, it's going to be a competitive race once again. You know, we obviously understand that Iowa is at the top of it, and they return everybody, and they're fantastic, well coached, and you know, I think the rest of us will be chasing after that. But you know, it's the great thing about the parity in our league. It's proven night in and night out that you know, there's no game that's safe, right? And if you're talking at the top and or the bottom is you know, making strides, and they're going to compete every single night. So, you know, I think that we would be remiss if anybody felt like they could come up here and say that we could go into any contest in the Big Ten and just show up. You better show up ready to play, because if you don't, you're always, you know, you have an opportunity to come up short that night if you're not ready to play. This is a great league, and again, we are, once again, I think we're proving across the country how good of a league it is, but I think we're still fighting, you know, for people to look at this league and consider it one of the best with some of the best players in the country.
Back right, Coach.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Coach, you talked about the balance between transfers and high school recruits. How do you make the decision in terms of where to invest your energy between the transfer portal and high school recruits?
Well, this is where our staff, you know, I have one of the best staffs in the country, and you know, I think that we really pay attention to our needs. It's always need-based on, you know, who we're losing. If we, you know, have missed on one of those 4-year high schoolers. And so I think we're very intentional. You know, we look at our board, our depth chart, and decide this is going to be our needs coming up, whether it's the next year or whether it's the following year. And so I think we are very, very intentional about, you know, who's going to fit us first and foremost, and what our needs are going to be, you know, like I said, for the next year and the year following. But it is a balance. There's no question because, you know, as we know, these kids are in the portal for a reason. Most of them are looking for playing time. And so I think there is a fine balance for what you have already in place and adding those new kids also to the fold.
Third row, Coach. Yep.
Morning. Hi, Sid.
If you could just speak in the mic because it's on television. Thank you.
Oh, got you. Let's make it official. Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. To your point, Coach, I flew from out west because I think the Big Ten has it going on as far as women's basketball is concerned. You're coming off back-to-back trips to the Sweet 16. How have you changed as a coach since your time at Indiana?
Wow. Well, first of all, Cindy, thank you for being here. We appreciate your support from coming out west. You know, it's, again, it always goes back, this is not about me. This has always just been about the players that are in this program. As I alluded to, we have the best staff. I have the best staff, but, you know, I think it's been, you know, just a process for us to build this thing the way we've wanted it, you know, to look. And when we set out 9 years ago, we wanted Indiana to have tradition not only on the men's side but on the women's side. And I think we've really been, again, I use the word intentional, kind of brick by brick mentality about the people that we've asked to come into our program, because that's been very important to us. The chemistry piece, the character piece. They're you know, wanting to be a good student first, but we've also been able to mesh these pieces together that have really been about our team. And even though we have great players like Mackenzie Holmes and Grace Bergers and the Allie Patbergs that have been in our program, they've always been able to set aside their ego to be just about the team. And we've been able to, again, you know, have a tremendous amount of success with the kids that we currently have in our program, but we have also been able to attract kids that are attracted to coming in and being about the team concept. And it's more about we than me, and if you believe that, then Indiana's a great place for you. But we have terrific players. You know, our hashtag is work. We've done this, that we come in and we do more than is required from us, and it's worked for us. I think we have a recipe. I think the evidence, you know, has proven time and time again that what we're doing at Indiana is working for us. We always say this, Indiana might not be for everybody because of the work piece, but the kids that we have found have thrived because they're sort of ate up with the game the way my staff and I are, and they love being in the gym, and our staff loves being in the trenches with those kids day in and day out, and it's worked for us. And so how I've changed, I've really, I don't know that I have. You know, the work piece is still really important to me. The character piece is utmost important to me, and just getting good kids in our program and being able also to keep our staff together. You know, the continuity that we've had, you know, with our staff has been really important, I think, to the success that we've had.
Thank you so much, Coach, for your time.
Is that it? Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
That success has been so consistent, 7 consecutive 20-win seasons, the kind of success and consistency that Indiana is looking for on the men's side. Mike Woodson led the Hoosiers to the NCAA tournament last season for the first time since 2016, and this year the Hoosiers return a larger percentage of player minutes from guys who were on the team a year ago than any other squad inside the Big Ten, including preseason player of the year, Trace Jackson Davis. Once again, back to the commissioner.
The next coach to the podium is the head basketball coach at Indiana University, Mike Woodson, who was not only a great college and pro player, but he's brought so much panache to the Big Ten Conference, does a lot with the Boys and Girls Club through his charity golf tournament. A great leader, a great man, and I know he's excited for the upcoming season for IU basketball. They had a nice run last year. He's got most of his team back and some really great players, and I'm so happy that Mike Woodson is part of the Big Ten family. So welcome to the stage, head basketball coach at Indiana University, Mike Woodson.
Good morning. First of all, let me just say it's an honor to be back this season. I think about my coaching staff who called me all season a rookie, so I can get that off my plate this season, being my second year. Thank you, Commissioner Warren and your staff for a beautiful job that you've done so far today. And with that being said, I'll open the floor up for some questions.
On your right, Coach, third row.
Hey, Coach. Keegan Nixon with thehoosier.com. Obviously, a really loaded non-conference schedule this season. Is that what the country should expect to see from Indiana year in and year out as long as you're at the helm?
Well, again, I think competition is great, man. I mean, it's good for your program. I thought last season we made a major step. My whole team, that was the first time they experienced the big dance. And, I remember back in the day, we used to always experience the big dance. And so I was very excited for our ball club. And we thought coming into this season, not even knowing if we were going to get Trace back, Race had committed to come back. We had already put our schedule in play, with North Carolina and Kansas and Arizona, which I think is good. I mean, it gives us the opportunity to play some of the best teams in the country, and just see where you are as a ball club.
Last row on your left, Coach.
Hey, Coach, To The Roof with Big Ten Ted here. Where does Jalen Hood-Schifino kind of fit into your lineup? And really, the other freshmen, what impact do you expect them to make for Hoosier basketball this year?
Well, it's been pretty competitive. All the freshmen that have come in this season, I like them because they are competitive. And Jalen sits right at the top. I've kind of had him in the starting lineup. I've had him on the second team. I'm just trying to look at combinations just to see, who's going to start and who's going to get the minutes. But he's been a great addition to our ball club because he does a little bit of everything for our team, which is kind of nice.
On your right side.
Hey, Coach. Myron Metcalf, ESPN. How's your team handling a lot of this preseason hype and buzz about their prospects?
Well, it's what it is. It's a part of the game. When I was in school as a player, I never bought in to the rankings and, what the media would say about our ball club. You still got to go out and play the game. Hell, my senior year, we were ranked number 1, and we didn't get it done. So at the end of the day, I guess it's kind of nice, for our players who haven't experienced that. But again, you got to go out and play. I mean, you got to prove it on the basketball floor. That's when it counts.
Fourth row on your left.
Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News. I wanted to ask you about Trace's return, how he can, obviously he wants to have a great season with you guys, but how he can make it work both for him individually in his future pursuits as well as become even a more dynamic player for you guys.
Well, again, I mean, he was the missing piece. He's the major piece to our ball club. And, I kind of rolled along this summer trying to figure out if I was going to get Trace or would I have to go out into the portal and find another big. But he made it easy for me when he decided to make the decision to come back. And it just puts us in a better place. I mean, he had a tremendous season last season, and I just got to get him to the next level, to the point where if we handle our business in terms of winning, I think everything else will take care of itself. But, he's really put a lot of work in this summer and shooting the mid-range to three-point shot. And, I've never been one to tell him not to shoot it. I think in the game he's just got to figure out when's the right time to take the shot. But, he was a workhorse for us down low last season, and he does a lot of things for our team. He blocks shots, he rebounds, he pushes the ball in the break. I mean, he's a great passer out of the double team. So I just think sky's the limit for him this season, man. I'm going to try to push him in the right direction, and hopefully everything else will take care of itself.
Mike, John Fanta from Fox Sports, you talked about back in the day, we used to be used to it every year of reaching the heights that you're now aspiring to reach here this season. I'm just curious, what's the thrill factor for you when you get up in the morning and when you're coaching this group that you are the head coach at Indiana, and now all those things that you strive to do back in your playing days are on the table for this group as the leader of it?
Well, again, it's me and my staff. We got a big task ahead of us. I mean, that's what I signed up for, which is okay. I feel good about what I do as a coach. But at the end of the day, we got to get 17 players playing at a high level in order to win the Big Ten or a national title. The Big Ten is good, man. I mean, you got a lot of great coaches, a lot of great teams. So, and then our schedule early is very competitive. So we got a lot of work to do this season, man, but you can't run from it or be scared of competition, man. This is what college basketball is about, and I came here, I signed up for this, so I'm looking to push these guys to the max and see what happens.
Hey, Coach. Abby Schnabel with the Wisconsin State Journal. The Big Ten has kind of always been known for its centers on the court. How important is it still to have a dominant big man in the Big Ten, and how have you seen the league move more towards positionless basketball? Well, again, I think college basketball was always built around having someone big, a low post presence. When you go around the college game, not just in the Big Ten, there are a lot of nice dominant players that play in the low posts, and we happen to have one. So it's kind of nice for us in terms of when I'm preparing and trying to put a game plan together. I know I got an ace in the hole that can do a lot of things around the bucket. But it's going to take more than just trace. We got to put if I go 9, 10, 11 deep, those guys got to be ready to play and compete around him to help us win at a high level, man. I mean, it's just a lot of talent in college basketball, and I mean, you just can't fake it. You got to go out and compete every night for 40 minutes and just see what happens.
Coach Woodson, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you. Enjoy your day.
A lot of transfer work this year in the offseason for Coquese, Washington, who added 3 transfers, only 8 scholarship players on the Rutgers roster. Certainly a challenging task ahead of Coach Washington. We head back to the stage and Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next coach to the stage has a great history and tradition with the Big Ten, formerly coaching at Penn State University. She's very passionate about Play for K, which has helped raise funds for women who are battling cancer. A great player, a great coach. We are so excited to have Coquese, Washington as the head basketball coach at Rutgers University. I know she's going to do great things, and it's good to have her back in the Big Ten family. So welcome to the stage, Coach Washington from Rutgers University.
Good morning. Thanks for such a wonderful turnout this morning for Big Ten Media Day. I'm really excited and thrilled to be back in the Big Ten. Looking forward to the competition in our conference and really being a part of the premier athletic conference in the country. We've got tremendous leadership with Kevin Warren and the rest of the Big Ten staff, and as well as at all the campus leadership across the conference. So it's really exciting to be back in the conference and looking forward to big things in the conference. So take your questions now.
Susie, first row here, just right in the front. Yeah.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Charles Harmon, Minnesota Sports Recorder. At least one time this season there will be a Big Ten game with two head coaches on either side that's black. Are we coming closer to that being a rule, not an exception, in your opinion?
That's a great question, Charles. I think it'll be exciting when that happens. But obviously, I think there's still a lot of room for growth when you look at the numbers in terms of diversity, in terms of people of color, leading programs, especially in the Power 5 conferences. You know, we've certainly have had some movement in the last couple of years. We've had some good hires. There's still a lot of work to be done in that area, and it's up to our administrations to cast a broad and wide net when they have hiring opportunities to ensure that our head coaching ranks are reflective of what our players look like and where they're from and the diversity with that respect. So I think we've done well, but there's still room for growth and opportunity there.
Third row on your right, Coach.
Good morning, Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. Congratulations on the job,
Thank you.
belated. You're taking over for an icon. We always knew what Steve Stringer was going to bring to the table. So what will a Coquese Washington Rutgers team look like?
Well, I think one thing that I always admired and respected about Coach Stringer was as much what she did off the court as she did on the court, how she cared for her players, how she challenged and nurtured and grew her players. So a Rutgers women's basketball team will still be reflective of that, even though there's been a change of leadership. Our style of play may be a little bit different, but in terms, Coach Stringer was known for great defense and low-scoring games. I kind of like to score a few more points, so the pace may be a little bit different. The styles may be a little bit different, but I think the thing that will remain constant and consistent is the pursuit of excellence, the pursuit of championships, and loving and caring and nurturing our players off the court in a way that's authentic and truly a positive representation of Rutgers athletics and Rutgers University.
Third row on your left, Coach.
Coach, good morning. John Fanta from Fox Sports. You just alluded to it a little bit about what the game plan is, but at Rutgers, there's a pedigree of winning, as you well know, and you know this league quite well. When you think about how you differentiate, how you find the separation of Rutgers women's basketball to then end up with the results that you want, what does that entail?
Well, it's not really so much about trying to differentiate ourselves or looking and comparing ourselves to what Maryland is doing or Nebraska or even Minnesota. It's really about establishing our culture, who we are, how we play. And there's those things are where, we talk with our team right now, we're in discovery mode, right? We're discovering who we are. It's been, we actually as a staff and as a program, we've all been together since September 1. So, a little over a month. So we're still in discovery mode. And it's about laying the foundation of who we want to be. Our style of play, we like to play fast. We like to get up and down the court. And that's obviously where the game is going. So as we work to establish our identity and set ourselves up for long-term sustained success. It's not about winning a few games this year, but it's about being a program that's going to be a stalwart in the Big Ten Conference, and that's going to take some time and dedication to laying and building a strong foundation.
One more quick question, Coach, on the right side.
Hi, Coquese.
Hey, Mel.
Greenberg. Hi there. I'll ask John's question from a different way. Having been in the Big Ten and the fact that you really had to rebuild this thing from down deep, one, how useful has it been to have that Big Ten experience? And two, you put together quite a coaching staff in its own right. So talk about your hires a little bit.
Yeah, definitely think the experience that I have previously of coaching in this conference is going to be helpful. When you know how Brenda Frese likes to coach, or how Kevin McGuff at Ohio State likes to coach, or what Teri Moren likes to coach, how she likes to coach, that's certainly helpful, and definitely will give us an opportunity to understand the conference better. So again, it goes back to us being able to put together a team, put together a program, and build and create a foundation this year that's going to allow and provide for long-term success in this conference. And the talent base in this conference is really deep. You know, when you look at the number of players that were drafted this past year in the WNBA, when you look at the players that are coming in that have such a high buzz nationally, that are coming back. So it's a very competitive conference, and that competitive nature is what's going to make our program better and what's going to make our conference strong as we head into NCAA play in March.
Coach Washington, welcome back. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
No doubt Coach Washington would love to follow the rebuild plan that Steve Pikiell has had Rutgers on since he arrived on the Banks. Made the NCAA tournament in consecutive seasons now for the first time since 1975-76. And while the Scarlet Knights do lose their top two scorers from last season, Defensive Player of the Year Caleb McConnell is back to harass opposing scorers. For more on Rutgers and the men's program, here's Kevin Moren.
Next to the podium is our head basketball coach at Rutgers University, Steve Pikiell, who is just leads with integrity and honor and grit and hard work, and always has tough basketball teams. Chris Corso, who works with him, who we worked for many years at the Vikings, just thinks the world of him. But I'm so glad of what Coach Pikiell has done in the area of combating paralysis for the Eric LeGrand Foundation and also Christopher Reeve Foundation. I know they have a game that they've organized to have all the proceeds go to those two organizations. Coach had two back-to-back NCAA tournaments. You know, he's excited about his team, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play at the RAC, which is now Jersey Mike's Arena. So again, welcome to the stage, an outstanding coach in the Big Ten, head basketball coach at Rutgers University, Steve Pikiell.
Good morning. It's good to have and good to see everybody. I first want to congratulate Coquese, Washington. We hit a home run. Our women's coach, she's following a Hall of Famer, and she's going to do an unbelievable job. So I'm glad she was right here before me. I also want to welcome Coach Willard to the league. He's a New Jersey guy. Did a great job at Seton Hall, and I want to congratulate him on that. And I also want to welcome UCLA and USC will be joining us next year, so congratulations to those institutions. I'm honored here to be here. This is year 7 for us at Rutgers University. I work for a great president and an athletic director and a huge fan base. I'm excited about our team this year. I love our leadership that we have. We have a really nice blend of veteran players and of rookies and new talent. We have one player from the transfer portal. We did not lose a player in the transfer portal, so I'm proud of that. And I'm excited about returning 64% of our minutes from last year. And I really believe that we have a chance to be, really, really good in what is the best league in the country, and even going to get better, moving forward. I have 3 representatives here today. I couldn't be more proud. Paul has only played in NCAA tournaments since he arrived. He'll be our point guard. He led the league in assist last year. Caleb McConnell returns. He's the Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he has a chance to be the National Defensive Player of the Year. And Cliff, on his birthday today, real proud of him and his development. He's one of the best dunkers in the country, but he's better person and basketball player. He keeps improving every day. I think he's going to have a special year for us. But 3 of them, great students and great representatives of our university. Paul graduated, Caleb too. Cliff is on his way. So real proud of those three guys and proud of the guys that are back home right now watching. And I know they're working hard, getting ready for what's going to be an exciting season in the most exciting arena, Jersey Mike's. We expect to sell out every single game this year. So we're excited about the environment that those guys have helped create, at our university. So with that being said, are there
Coach,
any
third row
questions?
on your left.
Steve, good morning. John Fanta from Fox Sports.
Hi, John.
You just talked about the returnees and what you feel. And just to expand upon that, for Rutgers basketball, the goal this year is to make a third consecutive NCAA tournament. That's history at stake. How much do you feel the winning of the recent years, what you've built inside your facility every single day?
Well, I will tell you, there's an environment there. Our students and our players obviously have helped create that. They line up now. They come to games, the Riot Squad. We just have an unbelievable environment. And I'm thankful for our fan base, and it's a great state, New Jersey. But I think they really like our guys, and they respect how they play. They play with a little Jersey grit and an excitement and enthusiasm, and they've been there. They've been there. Caleb has helped grow the program from when we weren't in the NCAA tournament. Now to have an opportunity to go 3 straight times, which has never been done in school history. And if you want to tack on the COVID year, that was a year we were going too. So we're doing some new things with Rutgers basketball. It's a credit to the players. And I also got to tell you, I have an unbelievable staff, and they've all come back. Brandon Knight, Carl Hobbs, T.J. Thompson, Mike Larkin, Steve Hain. I mean, I got a really good staff, and that's part of it. You keep your players, you keep your staff. They understand the culture. They understand what you're trying to do. They understand the goals that we're trying to set for our program that have never happened before. So it's a grind, but it's an exciting grind in a league like this, and I'm just thankful we got a lot of support back at home.
Coach, back right.
Coach Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Between name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal, what do you think will have the greatest long-term impact on college basketball?
Well, I mean, I think obviously they're both huge, issues. I think everyone's trying to navigate all of them. I love the fact that student athletes have a lot of choices. I think they're both certainly going to impact where college sports is headed in the future. And I don't have the answers for that. I just know try to recruit great kids and try to give them every resource and opportunity they can to better themselves in their lives, and try to keep them on our campus. And we were blessed this year not to have anybody in the portal. And it's not an easy task because everyone wants to play and you only have so many minutes too. So those are certainly big challenges. I don't know which one is bigger than the other. Both coming at the same time certainly poses big problems for us.
Coach, last row on your left side.
Hey, Coach, Ted LaRue here with Big Ten. Ted, what makes the RAC so special? I mean, watching it on television, it is electric to watch. You look at last year's game against Purdue and just the crazy finish of that game and all the other games that you guys have had in Piscataway. From the sidelines, what makes that such a special environment to coach in?
I mean, just the energy in the building, and it starts way before the game. It starts leading up to the game, the days before. It's a fan base that's been very loyal and very passionate, and now we've added the elements of the great college students and their creativity and their youth and their enthusiasm. So Jersey Mike's is one of the toughest places, I think, to play. We love it. We have unbelievable home court advantage there, and keeping these guys around keeps it that way too. So you got to have good players. Basketball is about having, good kids that are willing to sacrifice, and we've talked a lot about that this year. They got to sacrifice minutes. They got to sacrifice their offense for defense, rebounds for, points and those kind of things. And I think our fans sacrifice. I think our players do, and that has created like a great environment for us.
Coach Pikiell, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
About ready to hear from Purdue head coach Katie Geralds. The Boilermakers won 17 games in her first season as head coach after winning just 7 in the years prior. And 7 is apparently the lucky number because 7 players from last year's roster returned to the Boilermakers this season. Let's head back to the stage once again, Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Next to the stage is the head women's basketball coach at Purdue, Katie Geralds, who was an outstanding basketball player herself, and it's so good to have her in the Big Ten family now. She's co-chair of the Lafayette Hunger Hike, which is an annual event that brings leaders from Lafayette, Indiana, together to raise funds to provide food for those who are less fortunate. Coach Geralds, as I said, was not only a great player, is an incredible coach. She's building the program her way, and I know she'll be successful, and looking forward to seeing her have a great season this year. So glad she's in the Big Ten, so welcome to the stage is the Purdue women's basketball coach, Katie Geralds.
Good morning. Thanks for having us up here. It's good to be in this city. I'm excited to see what Minneapolis has for Big Ten basketball. For me, I'm just glad to be in a little better mood because if the Chiefs won, or the Chiefs didn't win last night, I wasn't going to be very happy. I don't have much to say to start off, so I answer questions you have. I know the sooner I get out of here, the faster Matt Painter gets up here. And I know what it's like to listen to him talk because I have a notepad every time I walk into his office or practice, so we'll make this short and sweet.
Questions for Coach? Coach, third row on your right.
Good morning, Coach. Cindy Brunson, Pac-12 Network. Your team's ability to shoot the three-point shot was staggering last season. Do you have plans to implement a three-point shooting contest at next year's men's and women's tournaments here at the Target Center?
Good morning, Cindy. Thanks for the question. We did shoot it well. We shot it a lot. I know that. So hopefully we shoot it even better this year. I think it would be something pretty special. A long time ago, I was able to kind of win that contest, and I think if it was here at the Final Four, it'd be something pretty cool.
Questions for Coach?
I like it. I like it.
Coach, back row on your right side.
Chris Werner from the Daily Iowan. Can you just talk about what Caitlin Clark has done, for women's college basketball as a whole, and how she's kind of raised the profile of the sport?
Yeah, as a conference, we're extremely lucky and blessed to have Caitlin in our league. The national attention she gets and what it does to elevate our game and our brands. Hate playing against her, hate game planning against her, but what she does is, she puts eyes on all of us, and we're super lucky.
Coach, what did you learn about yourself after year one that's going to help you here in year two?
I don't know how much I learned about myself. I learned a lot about my team, about what we needed to do to get where we wanted to go. I think this time last year I had been the head coach for 3 weeks, standing up here. My knees were shaking. My head is barely above water. So now everything feels a little bit more normal. A lot less stress right now, but I'm sure that'll amp up. But it's nice to answer questions in the back and really understand who my kids are, what kind of music they like, because this time last year I had no idea who they were. We were still trying to figure each other out.
On your right, backside.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Coach, I'm just curious, how did you become a Kansas City Chiefs fan growing up in Beech Grove, Indiana?
Yeah, good question. Well, diehard Peyton Manning fan my whole life. Colts trade him off, goes to Denver, become a Broncos fan. And Andy Reid has always kind of had my heart, and so maybe I'm a bandwagon jumper, I don't know, but I'm not going anywhere. It's Kansas City Chiefs all the way.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you guys.
That is Purdue women's head coach Katie Geralds. She previewed Matt Painter coming up to speak. He is one of the most intelligent coaches in all of men's basketball, and a big reason why Purdue made the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in their last 5 NCAA tournament trips. A year ago, of course, no Jaden Ivey, selected 5th overall in June's NBA draft. A couple of added transfers. Zach Edey named to the all-preseason team by the Big Ten media, and so much always expected of this Purdue basketball program with Matt Painter at the helm. And for more, we head back to the stage and once again say hello to Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next coach to the podium is one of the most successful coaches, not only in the Big Ten but in the country, is Matt Painter. He's the head basketball coach at Purdue University. He's been a great supporter of the Coaches versus Cancer event. He has reached the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in the last 5 years, has another great team this year, and I'm so grateful that Coach Painter is in the Big Ten Conference and looking forward to seeing him coach and his team play during this exciting upcoming season. So welcome to the stage, head basketball coach at Purdue University, Matt Painter.
Good morning. Like everybody else, we had a fabulous summer, and we're excited for the season. So I know you guys couldn't write your articles without opening statement. Does anybody ever have a bad summer? Like, someone has to have a bad summer, right? Somebody has to have some things not go their way. So I've always wanted to do that, come up here and say, you know, we really had a really bad summer, and things just haven't been clicking, but we think we're going to be really good this year. So. But no, you guys hear the same kind of opening speeches and opening remarks from a lot of different people. But it was a tough year for us last year because we thought we had a team that could do more damage than it did. And you know, as a coach, you know, you take sole responsibility, you know, for that. And you know, just trying as a coach to be better for our program, to be better for our team. I thought we should have won our league. I thought we should have won our tournament. I thought we should have gotten to a Final Four, and we didn't. Any of those 3 things. And our talent was just a little bit above our production. And I think that's the key for a coach, to be able to get his team more productive than his talent. And I think we've had a lot of success with that. I think Coach Katie was marvelous at that with his team and the program at Purdue for 25 years, and we've really tried to take that blueprint. And last year I just didn't feel like, even though we won 29 games and went to a Sweet 16, we didn't quite get to that point. And I think that from a coaching standpoint, I got to be better for us and be better for our guys. And hopefully we can do that this year. We lost some, you know, some really talented guys, but I like where we are. I like our pieces. And I think our staff has done a great job in evaluating and getting good players for Purdue. I think we have one of the best front lines in the country. I really like our guard play. I don't like our experience at the guard positions, but it's also great opportunities for young players. So how well we'll be together is really going to be key on everybody being on the same page, everybody growing and being ready to play right away. But we have some good young guards. We have a 5th-year transfer in David Jenkins that I think is really going to help us. We have some returners in Ethan Morton, Brandon Newman, Mason Gillis, obviously Zach Edey, Caleb First. We have 2 redshirts, and Trey Kaufman-Wren and Brian Waddell that I think both have fabulous careers at Purdue. And we have a couple freshman guards that are going to play right away and have really played well here early in the season, in Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith. So I think I've covered about everybody. If I forgot a couple guys there. We have a 7'2" freshman named Will Berg from Sweden that I really, really like his upside. I know you guys are shocked we signed another 7-footer. So, but no, we open this up for any questions and we can go from there.
On your right side in the back, Coach.
Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Coach, I think there's a stand-up routine with you and Katie here that you all should get working on. But Zach Edey, playing through him, how does that change how you operate going into the season?
Yeah, well, Zach had great per 40 numbers last year. A lot of people have to scheme towards him because he's skilled and so big. But he averaged 31 and a half and 16 rebounds per 40 numbers. Pretty impressive. So the fact that he only played 19 minutes, we simply couldn't play those two guys together, even though we tried in the summer to piece it together. So we had two different looks. I think we'll be able to do the same thing, but he obviously will play more minutes than he did last year. And, he kind of determines that. I always allow, organically things to evolve instead of trying to win the press conference. When you come here, just allow your eyes, to tell you what's going on and what we're doing. But I like our other guys on our front line. Caleb First, Trey Kaufman, Mason Gillis are all conference level players. I don't think they're all going to be all conference in the same year, but they're all conference level players. So, just excited about it. Excited about, what Zach can do. He can move for a guy his size. He can rebound out of his area, which is huge for a guy his size. He plays in ball screen defense a lot better than people give him credit for. I think he just stereotypically, because he's so big, people just automatically say, get him in a ball screen. But he's pretty active, and he's a good athlete. Obviously, he played hockey and played baseball, growing up. So I'm excited. I think he's one of the best players in the country.
Coach, left side, fourth row.
Matt, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. You mentioned a lot of different guys who can play guard, but the one question that when people look at your team is, how do you handle point guard? You lost 3 guys who played that position for you last year. You mentioned David. Is he your answer, or is there someone beyond that?
Yeah, it's a great question. We might have to do it through committee. Our only quintessential point guard is a kid named Braden Smith, who's a fabulous player. How he wasn't ranked in the top 7,500 in the country. You guys will have the same question after the first month of the season, because he's a really good player, can really pass, very competitive. But from David Jenkins to Braden to Ethan Morton to Fletcher Lawyer, I think when Braden is not in the game, it can be by committee, because Ethan Morton does a lot of good point guard things. David Jenkins can guard the basketball, can really score, but he's not been that true point guard there. And then Fletcher Lawyer is a guy that can handle the ball and help out when he's playing the 2. So that's your question. That's our question. Really, the youth is more of our question than anything in that backcourt. We have a lot of really good players, but they haven't played together. And we have, some true freshmen that are going to play right away. The one guy I forgot, who's from Minnesota, is Cam Heide, who missed last year, only played 3 games last year, and then he missed this summer. So Caleb First, Braden Smith, Cam Heide, and one more, I'm losing it right there. They all missed our summer. So I wasn't totally lying when I said that we didn't have a great summer. So, but no, Cam is very athletic and can really shoot the basketball, and we're excited about him. But he's had a little bit of that injury bug like the rest of our guys.
Coach, over here, Abby Schnabel, Wisconsin State Journal. The Big Ten has the Big Ten has always been known for its centers, and you have a very dominant one in Zach Edey. How important is it for teams this season to have a dominant big man in the Big Ten, and how have you seen the league move towards more positionless basketball?
Yeah. Well, obviously with positionless basketball and you have guys of that size, that kind of knocks that theory off a little bit. But the people that do play that way against size cause us problems. Just like we're causing them problems at one end, they're causing us problems at the other end in terms of matchups and how you play. But, schematically, you just go towards your best players. And so I think that's something I always talk about in recruiting. Like, this is how I see you if you're one of our top 2 or 3 scorers. I think that's why you see a lot of guys transfer, because that doesn't get put out as a caveat. You say, well, this is how you said I was going to play, and then you don't run plays for your 8th man. You just don't. And so when you look at it, like, how can you get the basketball to the rim? In positionless basketball, you're driving that basketball a lot more. When you're playing post-up basketball, you're throwing that ball in there, and then they have to react. But at the end of the day, the ball needs to live in the paint, no matter how you play. The ball has to get there. And, whether you're driving it, whether you're posting it, whether you're getting it off the glass, whether you're playing in transition off your defense, that is so important for it. But the thing about our bigs in our league, they're quality. Like a lot of times people say, well, you can't play these two guys together. It just depends. It depends on their functionality. And that's really what it gets down to. Taking your best players, especially of size, and now who plays well with them, that's going to ultimately bring them more value.
Coach, last row on your left side.
Ted LaRue, Big Ten. Ted, you guys maybe more than any team experienced the ups and downs of Big Ten play last year. You mentioned a lot of the new guys, especially on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get them prepared as you work through the non-conference? How do you get them prepared for the grind that it is week in and week out, night in and night out for Big Ten play?
Yeah, just, the mental toughness. Mental toughness is doing simple things consistently. And a lot of times the redundancy of the game of basketball kind of bores people, but like you're going to have pillars in terms of taking care of the basketball, rebounding the basketball, and then having a high competitive spirit. So like who you are when the wheels are starting to fall off is really who you are. And so it's so important to be able to kind of have that false adversity through practices and through scrimmages, your close scrimmage, your exhibition, things of that nature, just to see how guys are going to react. And, if you're not quite ready for it, someone's going to probably play instead of you. So as a coach, the best motivator is get enough good players to where if somebody's not ready or somebody doesn't want to do, what you're asking them to do, then you can just move to the next guy. That's the best motivator and gets it going. But our guys that come and attend Purdue and play for us, they know we don't try to trick them in recruiting. We try to just paint the clear picture of this is how it is. We don't become you, you become us, and kind of go from there. Like we're not having, a get-together and a powwow every time you don't get the minutes that you want. Go out there and produce. Go out there and practice every day. Put in extra time. Keep your nose clean. Be on time. Like all the things that translate to winning, like do those things. And, complaining doesn't go over too much, with us.
A final question, standing in the back left.
Coach, you've been around, Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat Radio. You've been around this league as long as anyone. It always has good teams, but this year, whether it's through returning players or transfers, the top half seems to be as solid as it has been in a long time. With Indiana's picked it a favorite, or is it Illinois? Is it Purdue? The top half of this league seems to be really strong. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's different because you have some people that are being picked in the top half, and 70 to 80% of their guys didn't play for them last year. Normally, when that's the case, they don't get picked in the top half. But these guys have all been proved, not all of them, but you got a good chunk of some of these guys that have had really good careers so far. So it's easier to gauge. It's easier to say, hey, like this guy averaged 16 points in another high major conference. He's going to be successful here. And so, having that experience of success together is still important. So like a lot of times you see it in the NBA all the time. They take 3 or 4 guys that are all fabulous individual players and they just don't work together, or they do work together. And then you go back to the drawing board and say like, well, why did this work and why did this not work? That you're constantly dealing with that as a coach. And now it's come to college basketball, with the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness and guys kind of searching things out. It's going to be interesting what we think in 3, 4, 5 years about that and how, because the whole thing, it's hard to have chemistry within a team. So like that starts when you hear the overused word of culture. Like how can you have culture just right away? I always say things don't work with a speech. It takes time to grow. It takes time to develop. It takes time to come together. But we've all seen some quick fixes work. They don't always work, but we've all seen that work. So, for us, we know each game that we play in our league is going to be difficult. Some of the unfamiliarity when you lose a lot of people from your league and then you gain a lot of really talented guys, I think gets really worked out non-conference. And then it ramps up. For us, it's a little different because we play those 2 conference games in December, so you get that taste of it. And I really don't have a great answer, for you, because I think the answer is still out there. Like, it'll be interesting to see, who's going to be there in the last week and a half of our league, because it's a bear, man. You can have a really good team, but it doesn't mean you're going to be a really good road team. But the really good road team is normally the one that wins it.
Coach Painter, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Big Ten games that the Illini will face this year. Opening Big Ten play December 4th at Indiana. For more, back to the commissioner, Kevin
The
Moren.
next head basketball coach to the podium will be from the University of Illinois, Shauna Green, who had an absolutely successful run at the University of Dayton as head basketball coach. Since she's been in Champaign, she's already made an impact with her energy and her focus and attention to detail. She's become involved with the United Way of Champaign and has done an unbelievable job. And there's certain coaches around the country that you smile when they join your conference. And I know when Coach Green was hired, I smiled to have her in the Big Ten Conference. So under the leadership of Athletic Director Josh Whitman and Chancellor Robert Jones, it's an honor and pleasure to welcome the head basketball coach at Illinois University to the podium, head coach Shauna Green.
It's great to be here today. Super excited to obviously my first Big Ten Media Day, and cannot wait to get going and the opportunity that we have here in the best basketball conference in the country. And really, you know, in my short time at Illinois so far, actually it's longer than what I think, in my 6 or so months, you know, just really trying to just get our program, you know, in a positive direction and trying to get us back and really compete, you know, with the best that there is in this unbelievable conference. So I'm excited to be here, excited about the season, and I'll open it up for questions.
On your right side, Coach.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
Question for you. You mentioned some of the struggles of the program in the past. Wanted to get your thoughts on the recruiting landscape in the state of Illinois. What is going to be your message to some of those athletes to get them to come to the university?
Yeah, it's been something that we've tackled since we've been here. And again, in the first 6 months, you know, two of our top 23s are Illinois kids. And just really trying to sell them on our vision and what we've done and how we're going to do things. And like I tell them, you know, I'm not really concerned at all about the past, because the past is the past. And all I'm concerned about is what we have right now in front of us. And, you know, with the support from the top down and Josh Whitman to what he's done with our facilities and the style of play that we're going to bring in, you know, we need to go after the best that there is in the state of Illinois. And there's a lot of really great players. And then we got to change the perception, because right now the perception that it's not the cool thing to do to stay in Illinois, and what Brad's done and how he changed that perception, and now they're winning Big Ten championships. You know, I keep saying it, we need one, and I think the rest will kind of flow from there, and the dominoes can start falling.
First row on your right here.
Hey, Shauna. Jeremy Warner, 24/7 Sports. What is your definition of progress in year one?
You know, a lot of people have asked that, and really I've always been concerned about just, are we getting better possession by possession, day by day, drill to drill? Are we getting 1% better? So that was the same way, you know, last year when I had a veteran team, knowing that we were going to compete for a championship, or this year when we're trying to rebuild a program. You can't get too far ahead of yourself. You got to really stay present and try to just get better in those moments. And then right now we're just really trying to learn how to win and teach them how to win and have winning ways and what the standard of excellence looks like day by day, again, possession by possession. So, you know, progress, I've said it at my press conference, I'll say it again, like, we'll be good when we're good, but as long as we're continuing to get better, you know, day by day, drill by drill, then the outcome takes care of itself. So very process-driven in our mindset.
Second row on your left, Coach.
Coach, Ryan Celine from Greater Than the Game. You said in one of your press conferences that every day you have a choice. You can be good, you can be great, or you can be elite. What do you think it takes to be elite on and off the court?
Yeah, to be elite in our program is just the best version of yourself. So how are you going to attack each day and really just instead of, it's human nature to go through the motions and try to get by, and we're trying to change that mindset. And so, just how you attack every opportunity. You have so many opportunities, you have so many choices every single day, and trying to get them to make those right choices. And again, I truly believe that process, in each of your responses to what happens in your day is going to determine your outcome. So, just trying to instill that mentality. And that's hard. That's easier said than done. But the more I think that our players hear it and the more that they try to just, get a little bit better in that, then we'll get the results that we want.
Coach, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
That is first-year Illinois women's coach Shauna Green. As for the Illini men, a few moments ago, Brad Underwood holding court with Lisa Bluder. We'll hear from the Iowa women's coach as well. And look who's the fly on the wall, both literally and figuratively. Our good friend, one of the best analysts in all of college basketball and former Purdue star, Robbie Hummel. The Illini won its first Big Ten regular season title since 2005 last season, added 8 scholarship players in the offseason, and that's because they returned just 16.5% of player minutes from a year ago. Here's the commissioner.
Next to the podium will be the head basketball coach at the University of Illinois, Brad Underwood, who's had a successful run in the Big Ten Conference. Not only is he an incredible coach, but he's really focused on bringing awareness to cancer through the American Cancer Society partnership with Coaches versus Cancer. He hosted an annual country-themed fundraiser dinner called Kicking Cancer, which raised nearly $300,000 that was donated to Coaches versus Cancer. So one of our greatest coaches in the country, and we're happy that he's here in the Big Ten Conference. Should have another fantastic year in Champaign. Head basketball coach at the University of Illinois, Brad Underwood.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in Minneapolis. We're excited about another great year of Big Ten basketball. It's something that I take a great deal of pride in being a part of this conference that has been the best basketball league in the country the last few years in particular. And esteemed coaches, great players. Last year was a record year with guys moving on, going to the draft, and I think it speaks volumes to the quality of teams with 9 teams in the tournament, and it's something I'm extremely proud of. Being at the University of Illinois, finding ways to continue to beat these guys is fun. We've got our hands full this year with the new team coming off a Big Ten championship. We're excited about that. And we look forward to the challenges that are presented and great non-conference schedule, but obviously the best league in the country and great venues, and very proud to be a part of this Big Ten Conference.
Questions for Coach Underwood? Coach, on your right.
Hey, Coach Myron McCaffery, ESPN. Between name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal, what do you think will have the greatest long-term impact on college basketball?
Oh, I think the transfer portal. I think the portals, we'll see how all of that plays out in time. I think name, image, likeness is here. It's impactful. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's something that has been long overdue. But we'll see how that plays out, if that's sustainable for any period of time. But I do think the portal is here. And you're going to see years that you may have to replace 7, 8, 9 different guys. So I think the portal will be a very impactful issue for us moving forward.
Brian Teague, CSO of Sports. Coach, you've had the luxury of having many veteran league guards in your programs. Could you talk to us about your thoughts on turning the program over to a freshman guard?
Yeah, it's different. Trev Frazier and DeMonte Williams last year could run my practice. in his fifth-year guys, and had so much respect for those guys. Now it's different. And that leadership is going to come from different areas. I love our freshmen. I'm excited about what they bring. We've got four that I think can all help and contribute. We'll see how that manifests itself over time, but they'll need some help, and there's going to be some adversity, and there's going to be some speed bumps, and we accept that. That's part of growth, and yet they're pretty tough-minded individuals, and they're going to have to learn on the fly.
Coach, Abby Schnabel, Wisconsin State Journal. How important do you think it is for teams to have a dominant big in this league, especially as we move towards this age of positionless basketball?
Well, I woke up every night last year knowing I had 20 and 10, and that's a pretty good feeling. And obviously, Kofi is unique. I think that there's a lot of ways to win. I think there's things that caused us problems playing Kofi. I think you got to play against it. I thought Iowa last year, as an example, was as good a team as there was at the end of the season, and they were playing very, very small, and they gave us problems. So I think it's a two-way street. I think that obviously we've seen the next level. We've seen the game change at the NBA level, but I think it can be very beneficial. They have to be good players. You just can't throw a lot of size out there that can't play. But I also look at it, and we don't have that this year. They got to come guard us on the other end as well.
Susie, right in front of you. On your left side, Coach. Yep.
Hey, Brad. John Fanta from Fox Sports. You just said you woke up every night knowing you had 20 and 10. What are you waking up every night now thinking with your team? And do you feel like you're waking up thinking, I've got different options that I can execute with?
Yeah, I've got a lot of different options. I don't know what those are yet. And I think until we play some of that out, until we get to scrimmages and exhibition games, figure that out. I love our personnel. I think we're as talented as we have been. It just looks different. And we've got positionless size. I think that's one of the things that I enjoy. It's about taking advantage of mismatches, and we've got guys who can break you down off the dribble. We've got I think we could be a very good shooting team. So we'll have to figure all that out. But instead of just lining up, throwing the ball to Kofi, there'll have to be some different options.
Coach Underwood, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Big Ten Basketball Media Days. Joe McKeown has truly been a model of consistency during his decade and a half in Evanston. The Wildcats finishing 500 or better in league play in each of the last 4 seasons. The good news for the top 6 players in terms of minutes played last season are back this year for the Wildcats. The bad news, one of the players gone, Veronica Burton, the 7th overall pick in this year's WNBA draft. To the stage once again, and Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next basketball coach to the podium is from Northwestern University, a coach who's had a successful run in college basketball, but especially in the Big Ten Conference. He and his family are very involved with Autism Speaks, a national organization that creates awareness and raises money to fight autism. So Joe McKeown, the head basketball coach at Northwestern University, welcome to the podium.
Gotta wait till our fight song finishes. I like that. But thank you, Commissioner Warren, and really, really excited. Thanks for the Big Ten for doing this again. I thought last year we combined, and it was just a great opportunity for women's basketball too in the Big Ten, and then excited to be in Minneapolis. Great city. I'm a homeowner here, so I'm up here all the time, and so I'm one of the biggest fans of Minneapolis, and and the state of Minnesota, except when I got to play the Gophers. Great to be in this arena. I was one of my former coaches, Cheryl Reeve, is the head coach of the Minnesota Lynx, and just proud of what she did for women's basketball and for Minnesota basketball in the WNBA. So, it's just great to be here and just excited to come back for our tournament. This will be a great venue. Hopefully we'll have a great fan base for the Big Ten tournament in March. Love our team right now. We feel like, we lost one of the great players, generational player in Big Ten history, in Veronica Burton, first-round pick of the Dallas Wings, and just got done playing this weekend with USA Basketball. So I gave her the ball 4 years ago, and she gave it back. I'd like to announce that she's coming back for a 5th year, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. So, it creates opportunity for younger players too. And then we brought back 2 5th-year seniors, Courtney Shaw and Sydney Wood. I'm looking at the trophies. They were part of our Big Ten championship team in 2020, and they just understand. They're helping our young players every day, and just lucky to have them and have that experience, in a league where everybody's good. And again, just really, the other part that for me is, as Kevin mentioned, a couple things. We're very involved in the special needs world and appreciate people's support. And I think it was one of the reasons that brought me to Northwestern 15 years ago. And trying to keep that torch burning with all the challenges that we face as special needs families and as a country too. So again, appreciate Commissioner Warren mentioning that, and Northwestern's been really supportive of me and my family as we try to do what we can in the Chicagoland community too. And, but again, it's my 40th plus year in women's basketball and just getting started. So really excited about my team and what we're doing at Northwestern. So happy to take any questions.
Questions for Coach? We got on the 3rd row on your left, Coach.
So, Joe, from the time that you came, Mel Greenberg, from the time that you came into this league as a rookie coach, other than you're probably the last guy standing, how has the league changed style and everything since you've been here?
Yeah, Mel, when, matter of fact, you and I talked, I was at GW, and I said, I might go to Chicago and take the Northwestern job. And you said, are you crazy? And I went from a Final Four potential team to a team that finished last 5-6 years in a row. But we've seen the league grow. At that point, there was 11 teams. We added, when we added Nebraska, and then, to add Rutgers and Maryland, I just thought it was great for the league. And for women's basketball, you're talking about 3 schools that are committed at the highest level to our sport. There's a rumor we're going to L.A. too. I don't know about that, but I don't tan well. But I think the league right now is as good as it's been, and I think there's great players, and you're seeing. I think everybody's recruiting hard. I think being a national league, covering the real estate that we do, if you look at all the great players in the footprint of the Big Ten, and we got all these great young coaches in the league. They challenge you every day. So I think to me it's the best league in the country right now. And question.
3rd row, right there, Coach. Hey, Kent Youngblood from the Minneapolis Star Tribune. You were familiar with this area. I would assume you were at the Final Four last year. Can you just talk about what your impressions are of this area as a market for women's basketball?
Yeah, thank you, John. I was fortunate enough. I came in here, 7 or 8 years ago. We recruited the best player, Nia Coffey, who was the Player of the Year, McDonald's All-American, Hopkins High School, and won championships. Led us to the NCAA tournament, and recruiting Nia here, I was like, man, this high school basketball is so good. And then we recruited Abby Scheid from Elk River, who had another incredible career, part of our championship team. So it just, what I learned was the opportunities young girls and how big basketball is growing up here. And the coaching they get, the opportunities they get to play, it makes it a special place. And then, when I got in the league, we played Minnesota here at Williams. The crowds were great. And then I come over with Geralds sometimes in the WNBA playoffs, and it was packed. And it just had a great basketball vibe. Excuse me. And then the Final Four this year was, I don't think you could have had a better venue. So hopefully that'll be that way, and you can see the Wildcats in the championship game.
Susie, right up. Yep.
Andy Kimball with the Cater Herald and Review, right here, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I know Shauna Green used to be an assistant on your staff. What did you kind of see from her during that year on your staff, and what do you think she can bring to Illinois?
Yeah, that's a great question. Shauna Green, I think, I'm glad she left Dayton, actually, because she was probably, I've been fortunate, I'm the winningest coach in the history of the Atlantic 10. Just a trivia question, Mel, right? Shauna Green was going to break all my records in a couple of years, so I'm glad she left for that reason. But now we got a player at Illinois. She's got this tremendous energy. She did a great job. I mentioned Nia Coffey. Shauna coached her, helped me recruit Abby Scheid from Elk River, and she's got tremendous personality, poise, but she loves the game, passionate. So I thought it was a great hire for Illinois, and I'll keep you posted on that. Yeah.
Coach McKeown, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. And if I could, again, Kevin mentioned, but I just want to thank, we have Derek Gregg, who's our new athletic director with us from Northwestern. And he played football at Vanderbilt, not basketball, but I want to thank him for being here today at Basketball Media Day. And the way he supports our family is really important to us. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Coach.
Northwestern women's coach Joe McKeown, great coach, better guy, maybe even better soundbite as well. Northwestern men's team enjoying a few moments of relaxation here at the Target Center. Nice setup in the hospitality room for the Wildcats. I hope the guys are able to knock down those jumpers, by the way. Here is the season outlook for Northwestern. Pete Nance is gone, as is Ryan Young, couple of guys who were important transferring.
Next to the
More
podium
with
will be
Commissioner
the
Kevin
head
Moren.
basketball coach at Northwestern University, Chris Collins, who's been there for 10 years already at Northwestern. Chris and his family and I have over a 40-year relationship all the ways back to my freshman year at the University of Pennsylvania, where his dad, Doug, was an instrumental player for the Sixers, but also instrumental in my life as a coach and mentor. Chris has been very actively involved in Coaches for Cancer, and under the leadership of Derek Gregg, who I've seen here today, I know Northwestern will be up on the swing. I'm looking forward to seeing them play this year. So welcome to the podium, the next head basketball coach at Northwestern University, Chris Collins.
Thank you, Commissioner Warren. Always exciting to kind of get started with the season with the media day today. I always hate following Coach McKeown. I tell him he's a tough act to follow. I've been having to do it my whole tenure at Northwestern. But like I said, just really excited to get started with the season. It's always good. It's a fresh start each year. Really looking forward to seeing what our group can become. We have 5 of our top 7 guys, scorers back from last year, a number of veteran players, 3 guys here today, Boo Buie, Robbie Barron, and Chase Audige, that have been 3- and 4-year starters in our program, have played in a lot of games and have experienced some ups and downs along the way. And we're going to really lean on those guys, their experience, their leadership with our group as we build our team. And we feel like that we're going to have a chance to be very competitive this year, and certainly the league is going to be as good as ever. I know there'll be a lot of new faces to this league, but when you compete against the level of coaches and environments that you play in, night in and night out, you're going to be competing against the very best. So anxious to get started, a couple weeks away, and looking forward to seeing what our group can become.
Questions for Coach Collins? On your back right, Coach.
Coach Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Between name, image, and likeness, and obviously the transfer portal, what do you think will have the greatest long-term impact on the sport of college basketball?
Yeah, I think obviously our game has changed a lot in the last couple of years. I think the combination of those two things, the rules with transferring kind of changing, which has opened up more movement than we've ever seen before. Now with the players' ability to make money off their name, image, and likeness, which I fully support, but that has added a new dynamic, to our game. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves, and I think the teams and the programs that are going to be the most successful are going to be the ones that can adapt and learn how to manage what's going on in our sport. We'd all love to see the four-year guy, the guy you come in and develop and watch him grow and mentor, and we're seeing less and less of that. You're seeing more transferring, you're seeing, guys bop around a little bit more, and that's the reality. Every team up here, you probably have some guys they lost and some guys they gained, us included. And, it really makes the importance, for you to kind of understand your identity as a program, and kind of find your philosophy, what it's going to be. How can we be successful? How can we support our players? At the end of the day, the college model is still about the players. It's about these guys. It's about their development. It's about their ability now to go out and have their own brands and make some money off them, what they do out there on the court. And, I think it's going to be interesting. I think time will tell. I think it's still really new. We're in the first kind of year or two of this whole thing, and how will this evolve? What will it evolve into? And what will the next steps be, as we move forward?
Questions for Coach Collins? We got second row here.
Hi, Coach. Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated. I think last year at the end of the season, you spoke about kind of the continued upward trajectory you saw yourself on, 3 wins to 6 to 7 in the league. You won a conference tournament game. What are the factors this year with new look front court that will determine whether you guys can continue that upward trajectory or not?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great, obviously we wanted that trajectory to be a little bit quicker, and last year, we were disappointed because we felt like, we had 11 losses by 5 points or less, during the year, and you win 5 or 6 of those, all of a sudden 15 wins is 20 or 21, and you are playing in the tournament, and that's kind of the margin for error. We are going to have a younger front court. I'm anxious to see what those guys can do. A lot of new faces that are going to get opportunity, and that's kind of what college basketball is about, really. There are a lot of teams in this league that have lost guys that have been mainstays, and then it's opportunity for other guys to step up. And certainly we're going to need those guys to do their part. But we're going to go as our perimeter goes. That's where the strength of our team lies. Boo Buie being a 4-year starter at point guard. It's his time now as a senior, and for us to be the team that we need to be, we need him to be an all-conference caliber, performer, which I think he can be. I think he's one of the leading returning scorers in the conference, and I think his growth over the last 4 years has been really good, and now it's time for him to put it all together and have a great senior year. And Robbie Barron and Chase Audige have been guys that have played a lot of games, and certainly have had their tough moments, but also have had some really good wins and have seen what it's like to win at this level. So, we're going to really go as those guys can lead us, and we're going to need our new front court guys to be able to come in and do the part, especially in the Big Ten. You know how physical this league is. You know what big guys you're going to face night in and night out, and we're going to need those guys. No one's going to really replace the things that Pete, Nance, or Ryan Young did, but can collectively, we come out and can they play to their strengths and give us the production that we need to be successful in the conference.
Third row on your left, Coach.
Chris, John Fanta from Fox Sports. We've heard a couple of coaches say this morning that it's really hard to sometimes figure out your league at this stage of the year, because when you lose 70-80% of what you had and you've got all this new experience, though it may be, there's just a level of variance there. When you're looking around the league and getting ready for a season, how do you go about that? How do you identify what exactly a team is going to be like?
Yeah, I think really the last couple years we had a lot of continuity in our conference, and that's what made the league so good. We had a tremendous amount of older talent that kind of had their styles, and you knew what teams were going to do, and you knew who the best players were. And I think this year is going to kind of be a new kind of age of Big Ten basketball. I think a number of the all-conference players from last year have now moved on to the professional ranks. I think you're going to see a lot of emerging stars in this conference, which is going to be very exciting. I think you're going to see younger guys now who have opportunities, guys who've gotten better. I mean, you saw it in the past. I mean, who would have thought before this year, last year, that the kind of year that Keegan Murray and Johnny Davis had, the growth that they had to become the superstars that they were. Those were just two examples. But I think you're going to see that, and I think the great unknown about a lot of these teams in this league is what's going to make it exciting. Kind of, are teams playing any differently? Are there new identities to some of these teams, and who are going to be the new stars of this conference that are going to emerge? So I think, to your point, I think this year is going to be a lot of intriguing storylines, and we feel like with a lot of guys being back, hopefully that can be an advantage for us. We have 4 returning starters. We have 5 of our top scorers back. So we feel like hopefully our experience and continuity maybe can be a little bit of an advantage for us, as we get started for the season.
Back to Moren on the right side.
Obviously, Coach K retires. What does this sport lose without a leader like that?
Yeah, I mean, the sport lose. I mean, Coach K to me was the epitome of college basketball. I was very fortunate in my life to play for him, but then to work under him for 13 years. So 17 years of my life, I got to be around him every day and witness his greatness. And, I think the thing more than anything was how much he loved the college game. It was always about, he wanted to win, he wanted to compete, but he always wanted the game to grow. He wanted the product to be better. And leaders like that, mentors like that, when you see them now leave the game, it's sad. I still, it's surreal for me, as the season's beginning, not to turn on a game and not to see him out there, because I know his passion for it and how much he loved what he did. But it's definitely going to be, we're going to miss him. And, it's the responsibility of us now as coaches to kind of carry that mantle of, the guys before us that were such unbelievable representation of the college game, the way they did it, how they led young men. And, I think we hold that responsibility to keep it going.
Coach Collins, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Terrific year last season for Lisa Bluder and the Hawks. No surprise to finish first once again. That's the preseason pick by both the coaches and the media. A big reason why. Preseason Player of the Year Clark Ensenado back, named preseason All Big Ten as well. As a matter of fact, the Hawkeyes returning all 5 starters from last season's team that won the Big Ten regular season and tournament championships. It was an outstanding year for Lisa Bluder and the Hawks, and they look to repeat that in 2022-2023. For more on the state of Iowa Hawkeye basketball, we head back to the stage and say hello once again to Commissioner Kevin Moren.
Our next coach to the podium will be the head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, Lisa Bluder. She works closely with the Iowa City area chapter for Habitat for Humanity to make the lives of those less fortunate livable. And Lisa Bluder, as you know, is an iconic coach, but even more so an iconic person who's done a fantastic job. We are so incredibly blessed to have her in our conference. And as I mentioned in my opening remarks, for her to have passed the 800 win mark last year is just magnificent. So again, welcome to the stage, the head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, Lisa Bluder.
Well, that song gets my juices flowing, but you know, today is a great start to the season. I always feel like Big Ten Media Day, it's the start to the season. And here we are in the Target Center. You know, and everyone has a goal of being here on March 5th and having the opportunity to play for that championship. In Iowa, we're coming off a historic year. It was the first time ever in the history of our program that we won both the Big Ten regular season and the Big Ten tournament. So it was a historic year. And we have every reason to have high expectations for this upcoming season. We return, in my opinion, the best point guard in the country. Caitlin Clark not only led the United States in points per game, but also led the United States in assists. First time that's ever been done in the history of women's basketball. Obviously, a Naismith finalist, the MVP, preseason and last year pick from the Big Ten. But we also have one of the best centers in the country. When you think of Monica Sonano has led the United States in field goal percentage shooting at 68% for the last 2 years, that's an amazing accomplishment. I've always felt if you have a really good point guard and a really good center, that you have the opportunity to have a really good year. And not only with those two women, but we have all the people around her. We have Gabby Marshall, you know, who's lethal from three-point range. We have Kate Martin, who I honestly believe can just contribute in so many areas, but she's a great captain and she's the glue to our team. And we have McKenna Warnock at the power forward position. We return all 5 starters from last year. And we have some newcomers. I think Molly Davis is somebody that you're really going to hear a lot about. Molly Davis transferred from Central Michigan. She has 2 years of eligibility left, and she is going to give us depth at the point guard, which we did not have last year. So we're extremely excited to have Molly Davis join our team. We also have Hannah Stolke, who is a freshman from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, ranked as one of the top 50 players in the country, Miss Iowa basketball. We also have Miss Nebraska basketball joining our team with Taylor McCabe, who is the best three-point shooter ever in Nebraska girls basketball history. So we have experience, we have offense, we have a great schedule, and we have a great fan base. It's going to be a fun year for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Thanks, Coach. We'll open it up for questions for Coach Bluder. Coach, on your back right.
Coach Myron Metcalf, ESPN. Caitlin Clark is one of 5 athletes announced as signing an NIL deal with Nike yesterday. How is she handling not only being a star of your team, but really in a lot of ways the face of college basketball this season?
You know, I haven't noticed a lot of difference with Caitlin. If you know Caitlin off the court, she's probably one of the goofiest individuals I've ever been around. She's humble. She's fun. You enjoy being around her. And so, you know, I think in her situation, it's going to be hard to handle that. You know, I mean, you are getting all these NIL deals, but at the same time, Caitlin is the perfect person to handle it. There's no jealousies there because our teammates know that she has worked hard for it. And they consider her one of the best players in the country, and she deserves to have those, reap the benefits of that.
Last row on your left, Coach.
Ted LaRue with Big Ten. Ted, a lot of people are obviously defenses. Your opponents are going to be focused on Caitlin, double teams, whatnot, trying to stop her. What's your message to the supporting cast? You mentioned great supporting cast, all starters coming back. What's your message to the rest of the team? You know, maybe because, you know, Caitlin might not have a great night every now and then.
Yeah, I think that everybody in our team feels valued. I don't think that, you know, yes, we all know that Caitlin and Monica are preseason all Big Ten selections, but at the same time, I think everybody on our team understands their role and understands they're valuable and that everybody matters. And you're right, Caitlin could have an off night. Well, who else is going to step up? I feel like we've got a lot of other weapons.
On your right, Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. I think you're top 4, top 5, top 6. Some of the early rankings nationally, a little bit new territory, I would say, over the last few years. How does this team handle it? How do you handle it as a coach?
You know, not think about it too much. You know, honestly, I think if you think about it all the time, you're going to strangle it. You know, and we don't want to do that. We want to enjoy it. I told the team the other day when we were picked as the #1 team in the preseason in the Big Ten that, you know, can be a lot of pressure, but it can also be something that's really enjoyable. You've earned this. I had the opportunity to meet Billie Jean King one time, and she told me, Lisa, pressure is a privilege, a quote that she's used often. She wrote it on a piece of paper, and it's signed, and it's in our locker room. I want our team to remember, pressure is a privilege. Enjoy it.
We have a great budding journalist in the back.
Hi.
Oh, my gosh.
Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa. Actually, I play point guard for you. So my question was, like, what makes this team unique? What makes you so excited about this team? Obviously, you're one of the best coaches of all time. You're the GOAT. So you've coached a lot of great teams, but what about this team gets you so excited?
I love going to work every day because of this, right? I love this team. These are incredible women that I would want my children to be around, that every day is something new with these guys, and I always feel like being around them keeps you young. So thanks, Miss Clark.
We have one more question on the left, third row, Coach.
Hi, Lisa. Scott Docterman with The Athletic. I wanted to ask you about the unselfishness of your teammates alongside Caitlin Clark and Monica Cesano, because it takes a special individual to put their own accolades aside, even though they've been the best scorer on their team in high school. How have they been able to do that, and how does that enhance your team?
Yeah, I mean, every one of the women on our team were all-state, all-American, whatever, right? And so they're all great players, and you're right, that can be an issue, like you come to college and all of a sudden you're not the star. And every freshman in every Division I program goes through that, mostly. I go from high school being the best player to coming to college and maybe not even playing much my first year. So I think the experience that we've had, my staff and I have had, we've learned how to deal with that. We've learned how to make everybody feel important again, and to let them understand your time's coming. So I just feel like it's something that all of us coaches have to deal with every year when freshmen come in.
Coach Bluder, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I love the Caitlin Clark question to her coach. Fran McCaffery walking into the arena. I see his son Patrick is here as well. Maybe Patrick will grab the mic and ask his dad a question living up to that Caitlin Clark resume that she just threw down. Well, Iowa men won the Big Ten tournament last season for the first time since 2006. They'll try to repeat this year, but of course, Keegan Murray no longer in the black and gold, selected 4th in the NBA draft. Some notable one plays on the Iowa schedule this year, facing Illinois, Michigan, and Purdue only once, though the non-conference is manageable. Seton Hall, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Duke, and Iowa State among the non-Big Ten teams on the Iowa Hawkeye basketball schedule. And for one final time this morning, here is the commissioner.
Before we welcome the last coach to the podium for today, just a couple announcements and thank you. One, I want to congratulate Savik Patel, who's been at the conference, and his wife Erin with their son Jihad, who was born recently. Savik is back to work, and so Savik, congratulations for what you do and what you do for basketball in our conference. Also, I want to thank our American Sign Language interpreter today, Ben Olson, for everything you've done today to bring in this to this fantastic conference today and tomorrow to everyone who loves Big Ten basketball. And then I want to give another thank you to TIAA for being our sponsor, not only for our Big Ten men's and women's basketball tournaments, but also to our Big Ten men's and women's basketball media days. So the next young man to the podium is head basketball coach at University of Iowa, Fran McCaffery. Fran and his wife Margaret have been very instrumental in raising money for Coaches versus Cancer, have worked tirelessly to raise money and have raised over $4.5 million to help people battle the horrible disease of cancer. Fran and I go back over 40 years when we played basketball together at the University of Pennsylvania. Fran was a senior when I was a freshman. I just appreciate his mentorship then, and I appreciate his friendship now, and it's an honor to serve Fran and all of our coaches in the Big Ten Conference on a daily basis. It's coaches like him who's what make the Big Ten special. So with that, I'd like to welcome to the podium head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, Fran McCaffery.
I just want to begin by thanking Commissioner Moren, not only for that introduction, but more importantly, for the incredible job that he has done leading our conference. It's a pleasure to work with him every day and know that he has such a keen interest in putting Big Ten basketball on the map throughout the United States, throughout the world, in so many different ways. But most importantly, I think how he puts the student athlete at the forefront of everything that he does. So you know, we go way back, like you said. We reconnected at the University of Notre Dame years later. I've been friends for years, and it's just a pleasure to work with him. As far as our team, I'm excited about this team. I think everybody that stands here at this time says the same thing. I said this last year. I didn't know what we had. Everybody last year was in a new role. I had never coached a team before where everybody on that team was in a new role. We ended up doing really well. This is a different team. We're not as big as we've been, but I think we're every bit as deep and versatile. I am really excited about the blend of youth and experience that we have. We have 3 starters returning. We put together, without question, the most difficult schedule that I've ever put in front of our team. So obviously I feel like they can handle it. I'm excited for the challenge. So we'll open it up to questions.
Questions for Coach McCaffery. 4th row in the back, Coach.
Hey, Coach Myron Metcalf, ESPN, you've obviously coached one of the greatest players we've seen in Luka Garza. Going forward, how difficult will it be to hold on to top talent with all of the movement in college basketball via the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think if you treat your players the way they're supposed to be treated, you look out for them, you're cognizant of the NIL world and help in that capacity. But if you coach them up right, you treat them right, you look out for them, I think for the most part, guys will stay.
We got 3rd row on your left here.
Abby Schnabel, Wisconsin State Journal. Coach, how do you think the amount of turnover from some of the top players in the league from last year to this year is going to impact just like the league-wide?
I think anytime that happens, it's obviously going to be a change. You know, you have expectations for veteran teams at this time of year. So this year, while we have some players departing, a lot of teams are still veteran teams. Even though they have new players, they're veteran players. So I do think it makes it interesting to see, you know, where we're going to end up. People predict this, you know, who's first and who's last and who's everywhere in between, but that's why we play the games.
3rd row on your left, Coach.
Fran, John Fanta, Fox Sports. What kind of progress, what kind of leaps have you seen over the summer and at this stage from Chris?
I think what you would have expected to see. He was terrific last year. He's, I think, had a really interesting spring. You know, he worked out with his brother, put his name in, and did the NBA stuff. I think that was good for him. Did really well, and I'm really proud of him because, you know, I think it's safe to say he probably could have taken a 2-way deal and, you know, perhaps been in the league, but he's betting on himself to come back and be a 1st-round pick. I have a lot of respect for people that do that. It was his choice. And it'll be the first time in his career that he hasn't played with his brother. I mean going, obviously, every team, and I saw him play a lot growing up, same age as my son Patrick, so since 4th grade on, I've watched the 2 of them grow up. They've always been on the same team, and now they're not. And we're thrilled for Keegan, but we're thrilled for Chris. Chris is going to have a spectacular season. He's playing with great confidence. His body looks different. He's much stronger. Shooting the ball with great confidence, posting up more, driving the ball. He was always a really good defender with his length, and he's a really good rebounder, and we need him to do that.
Coach, 2nd row on your right.
Hi, Fran. On your right, Chad Leistico, Des Moines Register. Obviously, Iowa is returning champion in men and women in the tournament. Can you speak to the dynamic, I guess, of support that you've seen the men's team show the women's team and vice versa? It's something that I've observed is pretty interesting and unique.
Yeah, I think it starts with there's a tremendous amount of respect amongst our coaches, Lisa and I and all of our assistant coaches, but I think most importantly, with our players, they really support each other, they respect each other, but I think they're really good friends. And I think, if you go to our games, they're going to be there. If we go to their games, our guys are going to be there. And it's real and it's genuine, and that's the way it should be.
Coach, fourth row on the left side.
Fran, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. I was wondering about with Chris. Is there a special kind of pressure on him because of being a twin brother of the guy who was a superstar last year? And I mean, because they look so much alike, there might be an expectation that he'll deliver a carbon copy of the season that Keegan put out there last year.
I think that's a fair assessment, but I don't think it's true. Like, if you're around these two guys, they're different. Their games are different. Their personalities are different. Chris is really a confident guy, and Chris is probably more verbal than Keegan was. I kind of wish he could just be himself and not continually be asked that same question, because he's a completely different human being. They just look alike. If Aaron White was replacing Keegan Murray, we wouldn't be asking these questions. But like I said, it's a fair question. They look alike, and Keegan was so spectacular. I think that obviously is something that we would always hope that Chris puts up those kind of numbers, and he may, but he may not. But I can tell you this, he's going to be really good, and I do feel like he's going to end up being a first-round pick.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you.